microphone and get ready for camera. Don't look at me. They look at you. You're recording.
Good afternoon, Harlem and Harlems of the world. I am Terri Wisdom, and this is Harlem Network News. Harlem Network News is a new media platform. We started at the onset of COVID, and we're still here. Harlem Network News was really started to ensure that the Harlems and the Harlems of the world were informed and really knew exactly what was going on. And here we are, we're still here. So very, very critical. And we've gone from COVID to the Ukraine situation. It's just been an amazing journey. And of course, many disparities still continue in our communities. And that's why it's been very important for us to be the voice and the drumbeat of Harlem. Today, we have some extremely special guests. There was something and still exists called the Harlem Little League, which started after there had been no Harlem Little League for 40 years. And so it's just an amazing journey that we've all been on. And I have the founders of the Harlem Little League, some of the original members and coaches and parents. And it's really a reunion. My son, Ali Wisdom, who recently passed away, cut down the gunshot. It's a lot, but he was a member of the Harlem Little League. And before I even start, I just want to pay tribute to all of the ancestors that have passed on from the Harlem Little League. And some of our players. I know that we just lost one of the past presidents, of the Harlem Little League. And ironically, 3 of the parents that are here had players that we lost. We had Dwight and Iris, the founders, lost their son, our baby, Andrew, Reverend Rhonda, Shan Hilson, Marcus Smith, and me, Ali Wisdom. So it's just a circle. But Reverend Rhonda, would you just give a moment of prayer to all of the Harlem Little League ancestors and our most recent president that passed, please? Thank you.
Please speak to that, which is your higher self or the higher power that you believe in right now. Take a moment. Father God, Creator, Divine Source, Mother God, we thank you for all the blessings of this reunion of Harlem Little League family. After all these years, to be able to be together on this Zoom today, on this day that you have made, just like no other day. We are here together, and this moment will never happen again. So we thank you for this moment. We're asking a blessing, and we're remembering all of the ancestors who have passed before us, those in Africa, those during the Middle Passage, during slavery, during Reconstruction, during Jim Crow. We're asking you to be with us, through us, and around us. We're remembering today the young people who have passed through the Harlem Little League and whose lives are gone before we would have hoped. We would have wanted as parents to have them bury us and us not bury them. But it is your will, God, and we thank you and we appreciate you. And we want the ancestors to keep enfolding our children and helping us to walk on this plane with the light and the love and the beauty that existed in them when they were here. So we remember all of our ancestors today and whose shoulders we walk on. And we ask for guidance, that the words of our mouths and meditations of our hearts, and that we are able to keep the legacy of our ancestors alive and well by them walking with us and talking with us, and that Harlem Little League continues to grow and thrive and prosper with amazing talent. These are all blessings we ask. Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Ashe.
Special tribute. I know that yesterday was the opening day for the Harlem Little League. It was a parade, which has been a tradition. And also, you know, there was, of course, a baseball game. So that's pretty powerful. And we also just want to pay tribute because I believe it was also dedicated to the past president and to the team member. Yes, Gwen P. Scott. So we've started it in the tradition of our community. And I'm going to just ask Iris and Dwight Raiford. Those are like household names. They're the people who started the Harlem Little League. And I think before we even say that, I just want to say that I'm Terri Wisdom, and this is Harlem Network News. And when the Harlem Little League started, and here's a little story, here's a little anecdote. I was working at NBC in network news. And, you know, it was Harlem Little League. There weren't a lot of Black people working there, not a lot of women, and they knew I lived in Harlem. So I was given the honor and the task to edit NBC's network news story on Harlem Little League. And that's how I knew it was coming up again, you know, because I had prior to that had to change my address so my son, Ali Wisdom, could play baseball with the West Side Little League. However, in the little 2-minute clip was Reverend Rhonda Okonkwo and her son, Rashawn. And, you know, when you edit, you go over it and over and over it again. And then maybe a few months later, I met her when we were, as usual, trying to do a rites of passage or something with our kids. So I met her and Rashawn in video prior to meeting her in person. But I had also met Rashawn because when folks are like baseballies or sporties or whatever, you know, my son used to come home talking about Rashawn. He was like, there's this kid and he could pitch however many miles an hour. And his name is Shan Hilson. So I knew Rashawn from name and activity. And my son was pretty intense. So he didn't really big up too many people, but he came home talking about Rashawn. So that's a little story. And of course, anyway, we have Iris and Dwight Raiford, the founders of Harlem Little League. We have HNN Spencer-Il, who was a team member at that time and has now gone on to be a world-class fencer. That's a whole nother story. We have Aiassatou Bay at this Bay Barra at this point, who is HNN's mother. We have Sheila Decastro, and Malcolm's not here right this second, but we put those names together, Sheila and Malcolm, who were coaches and a whole bunch of other things. But I'm gonna start with Dwight and Iris. Tell us what happened. What made you start the Harlem Little League? What's your background? We're ever grateful, simply thank you. So just share, please.
So our 8-year-old son, Joshua, who was going to school downtown, wanted to play baseball. And he couldn't get into West Side because he didn't have a West Side address. And when we realized there was no baseball in Harlem, and at that time it was the crack epidemic. And in many ways, Harlem was a youth sport desert. There was really nothing for our children to do. And so when Josh asked, I said, okay, we'll start a Little League if you practice your piano.
Oh.
And that's how we started. We went to West Side Little League. We, learned about the structure. We then had the opportunity to meet Aiassatou, who introduced us to the injury prevention program. And it was through that program that they cleaned up the parks, helped clean up the parks for us. And it just mushroomed. We had no idea that this would be as important as it turned out to be, but I think there was just, parents just wanted to be able to get their children outside to play and to be with them. And I think God was so good to us. We believe that this was our fourth child in the family.
Okay.
We treat it as such. We love Harlem Little League, and we love the people who came around the mission to help us start it and continue it.
Okay,
It's
Dwight?
I'm not sure I can add much to that.
Oh, you can. You know you can. You all are the tag team.
Looking back, and I've looked back several times over the last 33, 34 years of this, and said, had we known what we were getting ourselves into, we may not have done it. But thank God that we did, and we followed, and we're very clear. We recognized his hand in all of this very early on, and said, "This is God's work.
Right.
Okay, we are his instruments. So let's just do the best we can with it." And Iris, being the digger and researcher that she is, found Little League baseball and found what was necessary to start a Little League. And she found exactly what she needed. Because you give her a roadmap and she'll follow.
Okay, I love it.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Little League baseball provided. Everything we needed to start it, from getting fields to setting up teams to getting sponsors, paying for it, the whole 9 yards. And that's what happened.
Okay.
The one thing that I think is also amazing, it created community and family.
Yes.
All of a sudden, Josh knew people from around the neighborhood, and some of them are still friends to this day. And we can tell you stories. For example, when Josh was in middle school, and somebody asked him to go fight this other boy, and he looked over and he said, "Oh no, he plays in Harlem Little League. I can't fight a teammate."
Right.
And that stopped. He wasn't he wasn't enticed. And we can give you another story of one of our coaches, Morris McWilliams. His son was practicing one day at Colonel Charles Young. It was dark, and he said a group surrounded him, and some young boy said, "Hey man, aren't you Coach Morris' son?" And he said, "Yes." And he said, "Oh man, leave him alone. He's good. He's good." And so there have been places that I think Little League touch people that we're not even aware of.
Yes. I think that's very correct, Iris. It brought together so many things, so many people, brotherhood, sisterhood, parenthood, You
Right.
know, I'm Terri Wisdom. This is Harlem Network News, and another Harlem Little League parent. That's what Amos Shep and her husband Osakwe played with Harlem Little League.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
remember Amos Shep and Aqua is the husband, but I remember Amos Shep saying, "We don't have money, but our most important asset is our children." That's
Yes.
what we have. And I think that that was very thematic in Harlem Little League. And I even remember when my son Ali was at Howard University, and I can't remember the young man's name. I just know that his father had the art gallery in the Mart.
Oh,
at
David
125th.
Smith.
Yes,
David
yes.
Smith.
And he was at Howard, and you know, Howard's in the middle of the community, and somebody came after, is the son David Smith or the father? But somebody came after him, and Ali was like, "Oh no, you're not coming for him with a brick. Like, this is like a Harlem Little League thing. You know, that's untouchable." So, you know, I just think that those stories, those relationships, and, you know, even in terms of the ancestors, I remember, and I don't know which one, there was Chopin and Tucson, and one of those was shot in the park at Jackie Robinson. And I remember we all went to the funeral, you know, so we went through a lot of things. And as you stated, it was the crack epidemic and other things were going on in Harlem. And as parents, like, we actually had to go to the field and like rake and clean and make sure there weren't crack vials and there weren't needles. So I think that also had to do with the coming together, because nobody was a spectator, you know. And I don't even remember, I just remember us having to go get our uniforms, whatever they were ready. I don't even remember we had to pay for them. I don't know what it was, but I know that, you know, as young parents, and with young children, we all had to support and help one another. I'm going to go to Akanke, Reverend Rhonda now. And if you can just share your Harlem Little League experience, and yours is a little bit different because, you know, Rashawn went to the Baseball World Series. What was all of that about? And what was that interview about? Why did they come to you? And thank you so much. And more.
So I'm so glad to be here and be with Dwight and Iris after all this time. And also Aiassatou and Aki and Sheila and you, Terry. Aiassatou, actually, I want to give props to her because most of us know each other because of Aiassatou.
Yes.
And most of Harlem knows each other because of Aiassatou. So everything she did with her children, I put mine in, and everything I heard about through her, because I wasn't from Harlem originally, so everything I heard about through her, my children were involved in. So I just want to give up props for you and all you helped to do in the community. Without that, you don't get many applause for it, but I'm saying it.
Thank you.
Now.
Thank you.
So my son Rashawn loved baseball. He had millions of baseball cards, and you know, kept them in a what do you call it?
A booklet,
cardboard boxes. Yes. And he knew every player that's ever played, and everything. So that's how much baseball he was into. But I actually taught him how to play.
All right.
Yeah, I put the ball and the glove in his hand and taught him how to play. But he became very good and loved it. So he started at the West Side Little League because he went to school in that neighborhood, which I didn't need an address because he went to school at PS 84 on the West Side. And as soon as Harlem Little League started, we went right to Harlem Little League. So Rashawn became a pitcher. He played like many different positions, but he was a pitcher. And a lot of people used to come to see him play. And I didn't know that till one day, a man said to me while he was playing a game, he was like, girl, you got to see this little boy. He can throw faster than anybody I've ever seen. And I was like, who? He said, that little boy over there. I said, well, that's my son. You know, so I didn't, he said, no, I come see him play every week. And that's when I realized, oh, Rashawn can really play ball.
Mhm.
And he tried out for the, after a couple of years, he tried out for the New York Friendship Team, which is, New York is a sister city to Tokyo. And every
Yes,
year,
yes.
either the Japanese children come over here and play against the American children, or the American children, New York children, or they go up there. So out of 1,200 kids that tried out, they selected 16. And Rashawn was one of the 16 to go as
Yes.
a pitcher.
Mhm.
And that's why we were interviewed. But before that time, there was an interview about him, and they the sports writer compared him to Mickey Mantle. So there were a lot
Oh,
of people
man.
coming to him after that, and from the Harlem Little League. So we got to go to Japan, but the most important thing, he went to Japan, and his stepfather and I went with him. The city paid for one of us to go one way.
Mm.
And we had to pay for our own way back, our hotel, our food, and we couldn't afford that. And Harlem Little League parents
Take
got
your
together
time.
and helped pay the other way so that we could both go to support him. So you talking about family, that was family. And he was an amazing player, but his life, he became a four-sport athlete, a scholar athlete in college and in high school, and he played 4 sports, and before he passed away as a sports and entertainment lawyer. So he stayed in sports, and it was due to Harlem Little League's beginnings. And then my other 2 stepsons, Marcus Williams and Karubian McClean Noor, became a part of the Harlem Little League family, and they played baseball as well. And it just was it's a family that I'll never forget, and that
Yes.
helped to shape my children's lives, my son's lives. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. So thank you so much. And this is Harlem Network News. I'm Terri Wisdom. And today we have a really special show. We're here with the founders of the Harlem Little League, some of the coaches, the parents, player, so we're really just assuring that the history of Harlem Little League is documented, and it's happening here on Harlem Network News. We're the voice and drumbeat of Harlem. I'm going to go to Ase Spencer-Il, who is one of our players. He's also a world-class fencer. So he has a Harlem Little League story, Peter Westbrook Foundation story. So there's just so much cross-pollination. And Susan Westbrook and Peter were not able to join us today, but they were Harlem Little League parents, and that's how I met them. You know what I'm saying? So it's just so much. We know that Harlem is a little village, and we know that even across the country, among people of color, there's about 1 degree of separation. And, we have done a lot of supporting of one another, and we value our children so much. So I am so particularly honored to have Akhenaten, as we call him, Aki, on the show. And I'm particularly honored because Aki and my children, Maya and Ali, and Aki's sisters, Moji and Lemuria, they all went to daycare together. They went to UFBCO daycare. So I didn't know Aiassatou, as Rhonda and Akake has said. Aiassatou pulled us all together, but I didn't know her. I knew her children, and I only met her later through the children. And our children all went to the same alternative school, but it was Central Park East 1 and 2. And then for junior high school and high school, they were all together. So it's just a very circular thing. but it all started in, preschool. So thank you, Aki. So proud of you, just looking at you.
Thank
And
you.
I know you always used to be the catcher and just love throwing the ball, and Ali loved pitching the ball.
Mhm.
And that was it. So tell us what your experience was, what you remember and how you feel.
Well,
Thank you.
first and foremost, I want to thank you for having me here. I'm very excited to be here. And I had a personal relationship with all of your sons. And I'm going to tell you, it was something that I would always cherish. So I was just so glad that we had that sense of community, and so glad that, I was able to meet them and share different things and play together. To me, that was such a great experience that I will always remember. That's first and foremost. But Harlem Little League to me was a place where, at that time, there was really nothing going on in Harlem. There was nothing, no kind of programs for young kids like myself. And, my mother, I'm sure she'd have the same story, a similar story to mine. She got tired of me waking up on Saturday mornings playing video games. You know what I mean? And, so she found something for me to do, and she said, hey, let's try this at Harlem Little League. And so I was kind of into baseball at the time. And I remember going down to the park and seeing all these kids throwing the ball. And it's funny that when Dwight and Iris talk about, all the things that they had to go through to get the Little League started. And, for me, I just went down there and there were just balls and bats. They was all laid out for me. You know what I mean? And so it was a very special thing. And to go there and learn so much, one of the biggest things I learned about the Harlem Little League was just having a passion for something and being dedicated to it. I was fortunate to work with a coach, Malcolm Decastro and Sheila Decastro, who taught me dedication and how important it was to if you love something, to really spend time and enjoy what you love, because if it's a passion of yours, why not? And so I just took that with me through all of my sport endeavors that I did, and learned a lot just by watching the coaches work and watching how the league worked, and watching and just going to the games every Saturday, being excited to get up in every Saturday morning and go there and play was just an experience in itself.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Aki. And like you said, it's across the board, because you were playing baseball and you were a catcher.
Yes.
I don't play baseball, but that's a hard position to play, because you got to be in a squat the whole time. Though you're not necessarily hitting the ball, you're not pitching the ball, but that catching is an important thing. So you were just a constant, you know what I'm saying? You were a constant. And even as a personality, you were a constant. I know that my son Ali was an intense person, and he was left-handed and he was pitching. So he was dealing on a whole nother frequency, but you were constant. You know what I'm saying? And if you weren't constant, the game didn't go well. So, but it's interesting. I just want to share this just because I know you, and it's kind of like you are all our children. You know what I'm saying? I mean, my son is an ancestor, but I know I have like other sons. I got you. I have Caribbean, you know what I'm saying? Because that's the circle that we lived in. So it's let the circle be unbroken. That's a blessing. But I remember when it was time for you to do fencing. And I just always remember, because, Aiassatou was like, you're going to fencing. And I remember you kind of being a little resistant, and she was like, you're going, and here we are, you went to the Olympics. So parents, be steadfast.
Not only the Olympics,
yes, teaching, coaching.
Now teaching, Columbia University, coach as a fencer, and now on the what? Say what it
US
is.
national coach.
Oh, yes. So we are so proud, but I just know that whatever the tenets were, it was learned there. And I know Dwight and Iris, like, you were very focused on character building. initially, not so much on the competitive state. And maybe, I remember, I think Harlem Little League went to the World Series, so it got competitive. But the character building was very significant, particularly for our children, just given the disparities and all of the things that our children face and still face today. So I'm going to go to Sheila Decastro, and I'm just going to call her Sheila and Malcolm, because those two names go together. And Sheila and Malcolm were coaches, both of them baseball players, and they also are family people. So that was so super important. And I remember sometime in the summer, there was a baseball camp, and Sheila and Malcolm invited both Akhenaten and Ali to spend a week at their house in Mount Vernon so that they could go to the baseball camp. So that was just a powerful thing. And that's the kind of things that were done for one another. And I remember one of your neighbors was a rapper who's now passed, and you could share that, but that was a highlight of the trip too, because I think Aki and your son and Ali went to his basement and heard the music. So we got stories. So Sheila and Malcolm, even though he's not here, I'm gonna call you one name.
Okay.
Can you just share and this is Harlem Network News, I'm Terri Wisdom. Can you just share what your baseball journey is and how you came to the Harlem Little League? Thank you.
Okay. Hi, my name is Sheila. I worked at Harlem Hospital
with
and-
Aiassatou. With Aiassatou.
And we went to the injury prevention program and heard that Iris wanted to start a baseball league. So I told that to my husband. He says, I'm going to be a coach. So Malcolm went to Iris and Dwight's house and says, I heard you want to start a league and I want to be a coach. And that's how it started. But before that, Malcolm played ball at Colonel Young, and I played in Virgin Islands some softball.
All right.
I wanted to be a track star, but I was very slow, but I can hit the ball. So we started with Harlem Little League, and the first team we had was the Dodgers. And then we got sponsored the team from Gallagher Traders, which is one of the traders from Malcolm's job. And we since then sponsor a team in Harlem Little League, the Traders. And it's a wonderful thing. I live for this. I live for this. I'm 76 years old now, and I don't know when I'm going to retire, if I'm going to retire.
Never.
So I told the kids that they will have to push me in the wheelchair to the park.
Amen. Amen.
But these kids are my kids, the good and the bad.
Mm-hmm.
I remember him well. Spent a week at the house, ate a lot. Him and Ali. And to this day, I have Akhenaten's picture on my dresser.
Oh.
I look at him and I said, this was a wonderful kid. I admire him.
Mm-hmm.
And the greatest thing in my life is to be called woman, mother, wife, nurse, and coach. Those are my titles.
I love it.
I enjoy them. And I will always be faithful to the league and the children that I serve. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh,
and definitely, Sheila, you were. And you, I remember so many times. I'm Terri Wisdom. This is Harlem Network News, but I remember, you giving Ali pointers, for baseball, but also giving him pointers for life.
Definitely.
You got involved, you spoke, if he was getting upset about something in the game, you were like, come on, Ali, let me talk to you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So these were very, very good things. And I think that the young people held everyone in that same esteem. I remember Ali was doing something with music or something was happening. And he was like, well, I just want to call Dwight because, I think he'll know what to do. You know what I'm saying? So those are very, 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 very good things when you have those kinds of anchors. So we could keep talking for hours, and we're enjoying
wow.
our reunion because we all haven't really seen each other. And we walk through the forest of life together, cutting all the weeds of Harlem jungle down. So
Yeah.
I want to, and out of that came beautiful flowers. So
Yeah.
I want to just go to Aiassatou Begrisha, who, as Akanke said, was a glue for all of us and kind of brought us all together. I don't know how you knew Dwight and Iris or whatever. So just share, Aiassatou, what your story has been, what your commitment has been, and your connection to Harlem Little League.
Well, I mean, I, like everyone else, had a young boy, a young man in Harlem who I was dedicated to figuring it out. And I was a dancer. I was from the art world. I didn't even know how to play baseball. I mean, I'm originally from Cincinnati, Ohio, so there was a lot of baseball on the television, and the Reds were everything, but I didn't really know anything about it. And at the time, my husband was an intellectual, so he was really good on those levels, and he was from Barbados, so he didn't really know what to do with this whole American baseball thing.
Right.
So
yeah.
I was at Harlem Hospital in injury prevention. I was in pediatric surgery, as Sheila was a nurse there as well. I'm not sure exactly how it happened because Dr. Barlow's in this too. So some kind of way, the conversation of the Little League, Iris and Dwight, I guess they, Iris in her map, we were on the map on some level.
Yeah.
I think it was a newspaper article. I think it was a newspaper article. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we followed, and I'm like Iris in a lot of ways too. I will follow a map as well, and just see how many gatherers I can get. I am the embodiment of it takes a village.
Yes.
Like, I don't try to do anything by myself. I try to see how many people you can get along the way who can be enhanced by the experience and who can help by the experience. And some kind of way, all of you came in. Really, I was really just trying to keep my son off the street.
Okay. I think we all were. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and he was an athlete, clearly. And I wasn't sure what to do with that. He wasn't an academic and that now teaches at Columbia University. He wasn't an academic, but I could, and at some place, my background is in early childhood and individualized curriculum. And so this is how, you have to find out who each child is, and you have to nurture them with who they are, not who you think they should be, not who society says they should be, who are they? And in that, I just, I had an athlete. And so I had to do all the athlete things. I did the karate.
Right.
And then he did well in that. I did whatever came up, athletic, it seemed like he liked to do, we gave it a try. So we got to Harlem Little League, and the first, and he wasn't having the best experience in the school system. So the first person that said to me was Malcolm Decastro. Malcolm said, he's so coachable. And he said it with glee and with love, you know? And I was like, wow, I never heard that before. So I said, we might be onto something. So we put all we could into seeing that he got to Little League. Little League was kind of early for me on that Saturday morning.
For all of us.
On 159th Street.
For all of us.
So I got a relationship going with the local taxi guys, the Dominican taxi cab drivers. And they would pick Aki up at the house and take him to the field. And then when I got myself together, I'd roll it, go down to the field. And it's lovely because as he went along in his whole Olympic quest, they joined in. They were like, hey, that's that kid. You know, I would see them and they were like, they were all excited because they were part of that village, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that because I thought that was ironic. And so, you know, of course, I would share Little League because Little League was just fabulous for every reason. Dwight and Iris became dear and important friends.
Right.
You know, their kids became an extension of my family.
Yes.
You know, all their
yes.
Iris's mother became an extension of my extended family. So
right. Yeah.
You know, as all of you the same way. And I guess I don't know. That's my, you know, I'm not from Harlem. You know that Concord. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio. So my Ohio upbringing, I take it everywhere I go.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sort of, you know, always was community. My great grandmother was a community person. You know, all of my family, we've been, you know, big community people. And I was raised in the thought and in the deed of community and how that really translates itself in real time. So Aki, you know, fell in love with baseball and he fell in love with catching. And I remember asking him one time, well, why catching? Because I thought the batter and, you know, all those things were the people. He said, because the catcher controls the game, Mom.
Yes.
So
yes.
I was like, wow, he's even like gone deep in it. I mean, he really does understand it. And so anyway, Dwight tells the story yesterday. I never heard the story till yesterday, Dwight, that Peter Westbrook came to the Go tell that story, Dwight.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
This is Harlem Network News, and we're here with the Harlem Little League founders and patrons, players, and people. And this is Dwight Raiford. Please share. Thank you.
Yeah, Peter Westbrook and stepson and Aki were on the same team, on Malcolm's team. And I remember standing behind the fence at field number 2, and Peter was, you know, standing next to me. And I didn't know who Peter was, but he said, man, this kid has no fear. He saw him catching. Didn't blink when the ball came at him or the bat was swung. He says he has no fear. I'll bet he could be a heck of a fencer. And he recruited Aki from there. From there. Oh, forgive me, Terry, but I have to say this other thing. Iris and I have been just amazed at just watching God's hand on Harlem Little League at work. There's no way this group of people could have come together without his guidance, without his hand on this. And we used to pray every night as we were building this. Said, just keep our hearts and minds pure and just high on the prize and keep doing it. Not for us, not for our son, but for all of the kids.
Yes.
And it's clear to me, and it's even clearer to me today, 33 years later, when I see all of these kids that I don't know. I may know their grandparents, you know, in some cases, great grandparents of kids who are playing today. And they're still doing it. And it's the same, we're taking care of our own. In our first year, and I'll do this then. Shut up, somebody said, asked in one of the TV interviews, well, you think you're going to get some Major League Baseball players out of this? And I looked at him, I said, I don't care. We want some big league citizens. We want them to grow up to be righteous human beings who care about other people. And that kind of stuck, and that became our motto. Building big league citizens is still what Harlem Little League is about.
I just want to add one more thing. I think when people heard Harlem and Little League, they thought of it as an oxymoron.
Right.
They didn't believe, because they think Harlem and all the stuff that was happening in Harlem and Little League values. But what they didn't realize in Harlem, regardless of your economic, background, we were steeped in values. They just didn't realize it. There was many of us going to church.
Didn't want to realize it.
And they
in
didn't
my
want to,
humble
right.
opinion.
But I think that's what surprises people, but it was always there.
Yes.
Our
yes.
values, our commitment to our children. And I think, the media may play it otherwise, because they were also surprised at, oh, you're not going to get coaches, because that meant you needed Black men. But we had Black fathers, stepfathers, grandfathers, uncles step out and coach.
Yes.
They may not have felt comfortable going to the schools and volunteering. But baseball, oh yeah, it's something I know.
Right. Yeah, it's very, very important. And it's not even an oxymoron. I'm Terri Wisdom. This is Harlem Network News. And my stepfather, Harold Hamilton, who grew up in Harlem, was an attorney, went to DeWitt Clinton High School. When Ali, and he was very close with Ali. Probably everybody saw him because he was tall, dark, and had white hair. And he, when the baseball came, he said, hey, I played for Harlem Little League when I was younger. You know what I'm saying? So it had been 40 years since there was a league, but there was a Harlem Little League
Right, that's right.
The past. So you all just rekindle that. And I want to say something to Aiassatou, that yes, you're from Cincinnati. Yes, Sheila was in Mount Vernon. You were at Harlem Hospital, but at Harlem Network News, we say Harlem and the Harlems of the world. And that just means, I don't care if you're in Compton, it's still a Harlem. It's that community spirit, it's that village. All of us are connected. All of us are related. And this is how we have been able to succeed. And
But that's
models
just the African spirit in us.
Yes.
We've been, and we carried that every place we went, and we still carry it. And people like to act like we don't, but we do.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
I want, before we get too far.
Yes, because we're going to get to wrapping up.
I want Aki, because Aki's he's a man of a few words. He's always been like that. I don't know. I guess that's why God put us together, because I can have a lot of words and he has few. But I want him to talk about what happened to him when Harlem Little League made the Little League. What's the big
World Series?
The World Series.
Well, that was a really exciting time for me, because just to see how far we've gotten, see how far the league has gotten.
Yes.
I was always following the Harlem Little League, even when I stopped playing. And sometimes I would stop and just kind of watch games as I, went through Harlem. But when they made the World Series, I was extremely excited. I mean, I follow baseball, major leagues, minor leagues, and the World Series, and the Little League World Series. I follow Williamsport. I used to follow all that stuff. And to see Harlem Little League there was something that was just amazing to me, to watch the kids from elite that I played for, and see some of the coaches that I knew coaching at the World Series. And even though, they didn't go as far as they wanted to go, just the fact that they were there was something that was just amazing. Yeah.
Right.
Aki, they ended up third in the nation, and sixth in the world.
Yeah, that was,
That's all.
yeah. I think we were all just empowered. And I think I remember there was some kind of event that you had, Dwight and Iris, at Central Park, and it was a tent, and it was a big party, and past people were invited, and they were honoring the World Series team. And I
That
mean, I
was
think
actually-
we all
that was
felt like,
actually
oh,
in Marcus
yes.
Garvey Park.
Yeah, wherever, Marcus
Yeah.
Garvey Park.
Mhm.
Yeah,
But
we put a tent up on the field.
we all felt like we had arrived.
Right.
We had
Right.
arrived because I feel like this is Harlem Network News and I'm Terri Wisdom, but we felt like we had arrived because the building of the citizenship, but the building of the skill and the competitive, and to see our people out there, and the citizenship was so important. I mean, I'll tell a story, and I know Aiassatou Aki remember this story. It was when you all were older and you were in the junior league, and there was a playoff with the West Side Little League, and something happened. And I don't do baseball, but you know, Ali was a left-handed pitcher, and I remember he was pitching, and they said he had balked. And I don't know, I forget what that means, but he was like, I didn't balk. And he was like, and those weren't, the balls were a different weight, or the bats or something was a different weight. You know what I'm saying? So it was a little stuff. And then because he had played for West Side Little League, and you know, he had gone to school, he was like, that boy's not 12. He's 15, you know, but he was like, he's 15 and they done changed his birth certificate, you know, but it was just one of those moments because Harlem Little League, you know, we played competitively, but we were playing honest, you know what I'm saying? And so
right.
I remember, I think we were at a dance camp and Aki and Ali had to get on a train. Their fathers put them on it and bring them to the camp. And they were upset, but it was all good because they had that citizenship. And even though they didn't win, but they knew these people had done something wrong. You know, so
And
this
Aki,
is
Aki
how
was saying to me yesterday, you know, he learned, when he thinks of what he learned from Malcolm Decastro and Sheila Decastro, was how to play fair. And how to be, you know, that dedication. And how, and I've heard him tell me stories along the way that people did not play fair. And he was like, see, you know, they didn't learn those basic principles.
Can I just interject one more time?
Please do.
Yes, please, Dwight. We want to hear from you.
God's hand in all of this.
God's hands in all of it.
Yeah, I was asked to join the Little League Baseball International Board of Directors in 1994.
Okay.
And in late 2001, I was elected chairman of that board. And little did I know that Morris McWilliams and all the hard work he'd been putting in for the last 6 years, and it wasn't just Morris, it was Malcolm and the clinic that he and Sheila have been running forever. It was so many people that just worked with so many kids. And these kids made it. And it was my first year as chair. And let me tell you, when good people start having success, man, the devil can get busy.
We know.
The year before, the league north of us, Polino, I think it was, had brought in a couple of 14-year-olds.
Right.
And they tried to paint Harlem with the same picture, the same paintbrushes.
Right.
No. You ain't painting us that way.
Right.
Because we know who we are.
And when they investigated us, they went through a whole investigation because somebody brought up those issues. They found we were okay. We were clean.
Harlem Little League was clean as a whistle.
That's right.
That's how we roll.
How can you teach the
And
kids
the point
to play
is,
by the rules if you ain't gonna do it yourself?
Right.
Yeah. So there was a lot as parents that we learned. We were very meticulous to make sure our dresses were in order, you know, and there were many kids who I will share this. This is Terri Wisdom, and we're going to give everybody a closing statement and a closing clap. But from a baseball standpoint and from everything, it just meant a lot. As I said, my son, Ali Wisdom, passed away in November. We had his, homegoing at Ventas. We were out in Long Island, and, as you know, we all are touched by so many people. And I just remember Aiassatou saying, at the wake, she said, it's difficult to be the mother of a king. And I just remember that as a very empowering statement, but we learned so much. And one of his very best friends from first grade, Dorian Hollingsworth, and Dorian played for Harlem Little League.
I remember that
Dorian,
name.
you know, was at Harlem School of the Arts. Ali was a violinist also, you know, and Dorian said, listen, I wasn't interested in no Harlem School of the Arts. I wasn't interested in no baseball, but Ali was my friend. So he played and I played. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, so I'm saying it just brought people together. And like you said, it was something constructive. And basically, we were about saving our children. So we just give you, Sheila, you know, Malcolm, Dwight, Iris, and all of us, because it was about saving our children and saving our community. So I just want to hear a little closing statement from everybody, and then we're going to have Reverend Rhonda close us out. And we all felt that everybody was everybody's child. You know, with Andrew, I mean, he was little in a stroller. And while Dwight and Iris did things, we all took turns taking care of Andrew. The stroller,
Absolutely.
we fed him. If we had to change him, we changed him. You know what I'm saying? Because Iris and Dwight were busy. And I guess Andrew thought we all were his parents. You know? So, you know, those were some beautiful moments. He knew if he wasn't with his parents, he was going to be with somebody.
Right.
So, closing statement, Sheila.
Well, I'm happy to be a part of this program today. It's something that what I do bring me much joy. And the people I work with, the children I care for, are part of my family. And I'm just so happy. God bless.
Okay, thank you. Aiassatou Begrisha. Oh, Aiassatou
Bae, Bara. Just say Bae.
Yes,
Just say
ma'am.
Bae. That's the easiest. So I'm the mother of the proud mother of 3 children, and they've all done well. But I'm also the mother of an Olympian, a Harlem Little League Dodger, a Columbia University fencing, head of fencing at Columbia University, and now the mother of the first African-American coach for the United States of America.
Yes, yes.
Wonderful.
And so the first fencing coach for the United States of America, which means he surpassed all of his mentors. So it's a wonderful thing. I mean, and who would have thought that just trying to keep your son busy and out of the video games and the cartoons would turn into this.
Amen.
I thank Sheila and Malcolm. I thank Dwight and Iris. I thank Mama Conke, Mama Terry, and Susan, Miles, and Peter for just being in the right place at the right time.
Okay.
Yes. Ashe.
And wait a minute, and I thank you, Aki. I thank you, Aki, too. You're pretty amazing as well.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, we got
Okay,
Aki.
Aki, you want to give your closing remark?
Yeah, I just want to say, you know, the Harlem Little League, when you look at the history and all of the everything that came from the Harlem Little League, I look at myself as a product of being one of the first kids out of generation, and how I learned from the fruits of the league and what it gave to me and gave to all the young kids in my day, and even growing up to this day. Just walking in that parade yesterday, the Harlem Little League Day parade, took me back to when I was a kid, because I watched all the kids running around, and I was seeing the energy and feeling the energy of all the kids just being excited and being able to do something that they love to do. And so just to be a part of that, you know, on that day yesterday, just took me back from when I was a kid, being, you know, and being excited about baseball and being excited about all the games that are going to come. So I'm just happy, and I'm just, you know, very honored to be a part of everything, and to have a group of people like you guys, because like you said, it takes a village, and everyone on this panel touched my life in ways that I can't even describe, and so, you know, I'm just honored.
Yeah, it's all love, and that's what Harlem is: love, empowerment, connection. This is Harlem Network News, and we're speaking with everybody, Harlem Little League. Dwight and Iris, if you would just give some closing statements and tell us a little bit. We were hoping that the current president and, you know, assistants, and thank you for helping me get everybody together, but they're not able to be here today. And so if you could share a little bit about what's happening with the league now, how folks can join, how they can sponsor. I'm looking forward to next year, hopefully, to be able to do a team in my son Ali's name, or coordinate with a Conke to do, you know, a co-team or something like that. So, and I miss those Saturday mornings because I don't get up early like that either, except, you know, I'm working overnight and doing everything. But I loved coming out and cleaning those fields and having some comradeship. And I even got the opportunity, I don't know if you all have the book, Dwight and Iris, once we had a parents game and I played and I hit the ball, and I never played before. I was so excited that they took my picture and put me in the book because I was so elated that I hit that ball. So if you would just share a little bit now, thank you.
Sure. Let me just say one thing about Aiassatou and her other two children. Lemuria and Moji also played in Harlem Little League.
Oh, okay.
All right, and we often forget that, but the first year out, they were swinging the bat, throwing the ball, catching the ball. So they were full-fledged Harlem Little League pioneers.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Because I guess I forgot that my daughter Maya is, you know, great friends and sisters to Moji and Lemuria. But I know Maya was there, but she was glamorous. She was busy sitting in the stands, you know, doing what she does. But I forget that they played. So there we go.
Right.
She was there. She had to come. She just didn't get involved.
Right. You know, down the middle of her back, but you know, she was out there doing it all.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. And all of the philosophy of the Little League is in them as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whether they played or not. Maya was sitting on the stand glamorous, but she knew she had to go with us. She knew she had to support, and going to the game was not an option. That was mandatory.
Yeah. So go ahead, Iris and Dwight.
We should let Iris end up on this, but I just wanted to, what I'm hearing, we've been gone from New York since 2015-16. And we retired from the board of directors of Harlem Little League and Little League Baseball. But we hear from folks about what's going on now and what we've learned from the current board, and they are fierce. They got the spirit, and they want to do what's right for this jewel we call Harlem Little League. They are being challenged on a lot of different fronts about people who want to take over. And there comes a time when people have to take over, but you know, let's make sure they know what they're doing. Harlem Little League was the spirit of Harlem, and at that time it was entirely Black and Hispanic Harlem. Okay. Through the years, we've gained a number of kids who are playing who are not Black or Hispanic. And there may be a movement of say, well, maybe we should take this over. But our point, from my perspective, especially my perspective, it is absolutely critical that Black Harlem, Hispanic Harlem, maintain a critical role in leadership of this organization.
Yes.
Because we know what happens when our perspective is not represented.
Ashe.
It's not good for anybody. So it's
Thank you.
important for our community to support our
Thank
current
you.
leadership.
Yes, thank you. And it's important, this is Terri Wisdom and this is Harlem Network News. And Harlem Network News is in the spirit of what you just spoke about, because it's extremely important that, and it's okay to say it, that our Black and Brown youth are supported and that they are encouraged and they are brought through. It's critical because the disparities in this world, the disparities in education exist to this day, even worse than before Brown and Topeka or whatever it is. 99.99% of the public schools in Harlem, though there is, quote, gentrification, are still Black and Brown kids who are getting a substandard education. We got to speak, as I say, we got to speak truth to power.
So I
we
just
got
want
to
to say
save our
this.
children.
Let me just say, Dwight, it was that rumblings that I heard that brought me back this year. And so I just want you to know that me and my family and all the firepower we have will be walking with Harlem Little League.
Yes, thank you. And I will be walking with it too. And that's why I could not be there physically yesterday, but it was critical that Harlem Network News do this show on Harlem, on the Harlem Little League. And Harlem Network News, I reach and we reach people that don't watch CNN, that don't watch New York One. We're there for the grassroots people to know. And a lot of times, because people are so overwhelmed with survival, a lot of times people don't know the opportunities that are there for their children that may not even cost if they don't have money. But we are here to show what it wrought. I mean, I was, as a parent, when my son said he was involved in the arts all the time too, but when he said he was going to Howard University and wanted to be in fine arts, I was like, what? You a baseball player, you know what I'm saying? But I realized that those two things are very similar.
Very similar.
And one of his best friends that he worked with at Howard was Chadwick Boseman. You know what I'm saying? So, but it all started with Harlem Little League, Harlem School of the Arts, all of these things, karate.
Those institutions.
And
they're all under fire.
Sensei,
all of them
whoever.
are under fire. All of those institutions are under fire.
Yeah.
Not just the housing, not just our housing, but all of those institutions are under fire.
So we've got to stand firm, and that's who we are, and that's whose we are. So we're gonna move forward. How can people get in touch with the Harlem Little League? It may be too late to join for this year. Maybe there's a summer league, or even if they just come watch the games, or make a donation or clean up a field. But how can people get involved, Dwight and Iris and Aiassatou?
I think the best way is to just go to the website, which is www.harlemll.org, and you will get information that way regarding sponsorships, how to join. I'm sure they still have scholarships for children who cannot afford to pay. That was always something part of our mission. I just want to say that without everyone who is on this show right now and the families that we don't see, there would be no Harlem Little League.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay. It is with you that has made the legacy continue. And I think that's what we want. And before, Terri, even before we left and we knew we were retiring, we made sure that we looked at the leadership, who would take our place.
Yes, absolutely.
And we did a year in training before we left. So people could ask us questions, you know, do you want to do it a different way? Because we wanted to make sure that they were on solid footing. Okay, and not do a transition that left them helter-skelter. That was not our purpose. We wanted them to be okay. And like a child, again, Harlem Little League, you know, that's what we do for our children. We want to put them on solid footing. We want to make sure they're going in the right direction. We want to make sure they have the right values and remember their history. Yes. And that's what we want to see happen. And we are, and for those who are listening, we have players who are now coming back and coaching and bringing their children.
And grandchildren.
And grandchildren.
Beautiful.
Isn't that something?
That's what it's about. And
That's
my
what it's
grandchildren,
about. That's
my
right.
grandchildren don't live here, but that's a thought too. They're in Long Island, and I might have to be getting Bryce Cairo and bringing him to some Harlem Little League.
Oh, listen, and Garvey's on the wait list. Garvey's on the wait list.
Okay. And I just want to throw this in too. So we had everybody who came to Harlem Little League for the first time, if their child wasn't playing all the time, they knew it wasn't racism.
Right. Yes. Thank you for sharing that. And that's an important statement.
Yes.
Because I know, like, when Ali came to
we all experienced Terry,
because he was a pitcher, he felt like he was a superstar. And I remember, like, Dwight pulling him out the game because nobody could hit his ball. And he said, Dwight pulled him out. He said, we got to play fair. Somebody got to get to hit the ball. But when he was in West Side Little League, a lot of times they didn't let him play. You know what I'm saying?
That's
and
right.
It was because of a lot of things. So you want to make sure you're on fair ground. But we're going to continue this.
Terry,
Huh?
We've caught grief for years. We don't get so much anymore. Everybody plays in Harlem.
Right.
Everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah. It was like, no, Dwight said, you know, other people are going to get a chance. So we know you can pitch the ball, but people going to get a chance to hit this ball. And, you know, he grumbled, but, you know, he understood what it was. So without further ado, and we're going to revisit Harlem Little League and Harlem Network News. This is what we're about. We want more people to know, to get involved, and we have to preserve our history, our legacy. And if we don't do it, who else will? So
hey, you know what, Terry?
Yes,
before
ma'am.
You go, make sure that Sheila's sitting in the background there.
Okay.
She gets, her and Malcolm get the longevity award.
Okay.
Yes. They get the longevity award. Sheila, how would you say it would be a good way for people to get involved right about now?
Repeat that in here.
How would you think is best to get the audience to get involved with Harlem Little League now?
Well, we need people to come out and first support the kids, just to watch the kids. Then we need volunteers to do field prep, especially when it rains. Just people just to be there, support, to show the adult presence, you know, and guidance. Because, for instance, my son does umpiring, and he's pretty good at it, and he's very good with the kids. And while he's umpiring, he's teaching, he's talking to them about attitude, about how to present themselves at the plate, and what it takes to be a baseball player. But more importantly, what it takes to be a person. Because baseball is a cornerstone for life, I think.
Yes.
You have the certain discipline. It's a very hard game to play. That ball comes at you very hard. And if you don't know, have the reaction to respond quickly enough, you're going to get hit. So you have a bat. Hit the ball before the ball hits you. And that's hard. Hit the ball before it hits you. You know? And that's it. And that's it. So there's so many areas that you can contribute to a child. I mean, I don't have the words to express what I feel.
You're doing well.
Yeah, thank you.
I want to. In the morning when I wake up, say, God, thanks for opening up my eyes today. Make
Thank
me a
you.
better person today than I was yesterday. And that's all you can ask for.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You try your
Absolutely.
best to be your best. That's all you can do.
Okay. Well,
I
thank
just
you.
want to
Thank you.
add
Thank you, Sheila.
to
Yes.
add to what Sheila and Dwight and Iris were saying about my husband and I, Kareem and I sponsored Little League teams after Rashawn passed away. And it was the Shan Hilson Harlem Hitters. And we have plaques and everything, but what was great about the experience, and we will sponsor again starting next year, but going on Saturdays to support the team, being there to, sometimes all the parents can't come out, and
Right.
some
They may
kids
be
are there by
working.
themselves, and
Yeah.
even the parents that are out, some parents get upset at the kids if they don't, hit the ball or whatever. And just being there, I was able to go behind the bench, and some kids that didn't hit or got thrown out, and, we were
Encourage.
able to talk to them, and I was able to say, your team is named after my son, and he did not give up. And in order for you to be successful, you got to do this. And my husband would go get the pizzas and the sodas and the, the families would. So being there, and I missed that. I mean, COVID happened, and then
Yeah.
So
But
I'm hoping we
also I must say, let me just interject in this since we're talking about that. Even some of us experienced parents can be there to whisper in the parent's ear when they're
Right.
when
Yes.
they're being a little negative toward their
Right.
child not doing what
Right.
they think they need to
Right.
be doing on the
Yeah.
field.
Very important.
Mhm.
Very
And so
important.
some of the experienced elders, we elders now, to be able to say to some of our younger children, our
Parents,
younger our younger parents, well, you may want to do it this way. This is a way to explain. You know what I'm saying? That's another way. That's another way to help.
Right.
That's another way to
Yeah.
help.
So
and
sounds great.
the getting kids involved. Our youngest son, Karubian, didn't want to play baseball at all. And he said, no, I'm not doing it. That's not what I'm interested in. That's what Rashawn and Mark are interested in. Let them do it. And we got him in there anyway. And he became the most, what you call it, Dwight? The most
Involved.
improved player, because he stuck to it.
Right.
And in terms of his development, his
Right.
character, his self-esteem, it moved him to just another level in life, so that he went on in life and he's confident about everything he does and every place he goes, because he had the skills and the family and the village that pushed him through the Harlem Little League, which he walked in the door.
He also played Harlem soccer.
Yeah.
And he was
Oh
a
yeah,
heck
I
of a
forgot.
soccer
I
player.
forgot about Harlem soccer. We
Yes,
played that
he-
too. But
He
just
just
briefly,
happened to walk in the house. Come say hi real quick to everybody. He's a chef now.
hi,
Oh,
Caribbean. How are
Blackbelt.
you?
That's Dwight and Iris.
Okay.
Look how
Yeah.
handsome
How
he
you
is.
doing?
Oh
Okay,
my
he's
goodness.
another. This is Harlem Network News, and I guess we're in a little bit of overtime, but we didn't know we were going to have the gift of, Caribbean.
Yeah.
Caribbean, do you want to just say a few words, and then we're going to let Akanke pray us out, and then I also want to know what feels in Harlem where the games take place. But just say hello to Harlem Network News, Caribbean, and tell us what your Harlem Little League journey has been. On the spot.
Yeah. Definitely put me on the spot. Oh wow. It helped me as a young man. I was always afraid of the ball in some way because as the pitchers and how they threw the ball, I was like, oh my God. Every time I got to the base, I was always nervous. But I guess, with my brother Rashawn, God rest his soul, but he kind of helped me, navigated me into not being afraid of the ball and, just taking your time. And, and ever since then, I try to, use that as a way of life, and still, continue to keep growing and whatnot. And, but overall, it definitely was a really good experience, and also making friends too as well.
Okay, well, we're blessed to have you. We love you, and you all of our children, and now you're grown and fathers and working and doing all this. So we are so proud, and we love you so much. So if someone can just say where the games take place, and I know they can look on the website for the time, and then we're going to have Akanke, Reverend Rhonda, just pray us out. And we know that all those ancestors are looking over us, past president, Ms. Scott, Ali, Andrew, Rashawn,
Tony Spencer.
Yeah, Tony Spencer, or everybody. They are all there. Marcus, they're all there, and they're guiding us too. And so it's a powerful thing. Yes. So if we could just find out what are the parks that the games take place in, and then everybody can look on that website, and then Reverend Rhonda is gonna pray us out, and you're a bonus, Caribbean.
Yes, yes. Sheila, do you want to name the parks? Yeah. Sheila?
Yes. We play at Colonel Young Field, 143rd and Lenox Avenue. Marcus Garvey, 122nd and 5th Avenue. Rutgers Park.
All right.
58th and 8th Avenue. And Jackie Robinson Field, 100 and I think it's 51st and Bradhurst Avenue.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Well
it's
done.
All covered. So thank you so much. It's been an honor. This is a true family reunion. It takes a village. This is Harlem Network News. And we've been doing Harlem Little League today. And you can join us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We're in Clubhouse, soon to be with Manhattan Neighborhood Network. You can, of course, donate funds. You can donate your time, your stories. I also have started a scholarship to Howard University in Ali Wisdom's name. Is it Ali Wisdom Scholarship Fund, and his son Messiah, who is a computer engineering major and a freshman, was the first recipient in the amount of $2,000. So we're going to keep
wow.
It's a powerful thing. So
Terry,
proud.
Before Akanke comes on, I just want to thank you. We are honored to be here. And thank you, Aiassatou. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you all.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dwight and Iris. Malcolm, thank you to all the greatest.
Oh. Such love. So, we could stay here all day.
I know.
We can't do it. So Reverend Rhonda, this has been quite a reunion and an empowerment, a very much empowerment. So take us out, Reverend Rhonda. Thank you.
Creator, divine source, Father, Mother, God, we thank you for this opportunity to have shared such a delightful experience today after the opening day parade and games of the Harlem Little League. Bless every soul on this program today of Harlem Network News. Bless Iris and Dwight to continue to thrive and let their legacy continue to live. Bless Aiassatou and Sheila and Malcolm and Terry and Aki and all of our families and Caribbean to continue to grow and keep Harlem strong and lifted, and that we continue to make sure that we are in control and a part of what happens here in Harlem as long as we are on this earth and after we are gone. So we're loving you, ancestors, for being in the mix and pulling Caribbean in the room right as we call his name.
Yes,
so we know that our ancestors are alive and well, and we will always call out the names of Andrew, Mark, Rashawn, and Ali, and all of the other Harlem Little League ancestors. We thank you, God. We thank you May we all walk in peace. And until we meet again, peace, love, happiness, and joy. And Harlem Little League baseball. Amen.
Oh, yeah.
Amen.
Amen. Well, thank you all.
Ashe.
Thank you all. It's been an honor.
We love
And
you all. Mwah.
one community love.
Mwah.
Thank
Yes,
you.
yes.
And let's all stay connected, and whatever we can do. Dwight and Iris, I'll get your information from Aiassatou, but let's keep doing what we're doing, because we are elders now, and
Yes.
we have those coming behind us, Karubian and Aki, and Josh, and so we got this. And they learned well from us, because I'm going to tell you, with this Zoom, Aki was the first person to respond. He was checking the information. He was, I think, the first person in the room. So they learned well from us. Y'all
Yes.
got it. You can pass that baton.
Take care. Much
All right,
love.
take care.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Blessings,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thank you. I appreciate you all.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.